Good afternoon, everyone. It's Ronnie Joe again. Hope you guys have been having a good week. This is week 3 for me at the hospital, and it's been really nice. It's been fairly sunny all week, kind of warm. Today it is raining, so yeah, it's kind of nice though. I like the rain. Anyways, so I have been giving low sodium diet education a lot this week. For various reasons, people get put on a low sodium diet. So I thought I would take this opportunity to kind of share with you tips and tricks on how to cut sodium, how to realize how much sodium you're eating, what is sodium, where sodium hides, just really everything about sodium. Hopefully it won't be that long of a video. Okay, to get started, so sodium, otherwise known as salt, table salt and stuff like that, is a preservative as well as a flavor enhancer, and it is in almost every single thing we eat. So yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of sodium everywhere, especially in processed foods, foods that you get in cans and stuff contain a lot of sodium because it's a natural preservative. Natural preservative, and so it's really easy and cheap and convenient to use it, which is good on the production and manufacturing side, but not great for our bodies. So the recommended daily intake for sodium is 2,300 milligrams to, 2,300 milligrams, otherwise known as a teaspoon. Yeah, that's not a lot at all. So the 1 teaspoonful of salt would be your daily dose of salt. The average American eats more than double the daily recommended sodium. Having increased levels of sodium for long periods of time could increase your level for heart disease, raise your blood pressure and everything, and it's not good. So we want to watch how much sodium we put in our body so that we don't have future health complications and things like that. A good way to cut sodium when you're cooking is to use an acidic ingredient versus salt. So acidic ingredients will mimic what salt would do without adding sodium. So lemon juice, squirting some lemon juice on vegetables before you put them into the oven and stuff will mimic the salt taste and without having any sodium at all. So that's one way to cut sodium when you're cooking. Another way to cut sodium is to make your own sauces and make your own seasonings. So taco seasoning, I don't have one with me, is extremely high in sodium. So is hot sauce. This is my hot sauce. So 1 teaspoon of hot sauce has 200 milligrams of sodium. And, that's already 9% of the daily recommended in 1 teaspoon. And who uses 1 teaspoon of anything? So you can, make your own, taco seasoning, for example. You can use cayenne pepper and stuff. And then that way you control how much salt you're putting in it, and you're not pre-buying something and, you're not predestined to have an amount of salt in something. There's tons of recipes out there for homemade taco seasoning, homemade other seasonings and stuff like that. Fresh herbs and spices are a great way to add flavor without adding salt. And like I said, squirting with an acidic thing such as lemon juice or vinegar, also a great way to add flavor without adding salt. Another thing I want to talk about is serving size. So this video isn't about you cutting out sodium. It's just being mindful of the sodium you're putting in your body. So as again, in the hot sauce, 1 teaspoon is the serving size. And so just being mindful if you're using more than 1 teaspoon on something, knowing how much sodium you're putting in your body. and trying to stay as close to the 2,300 milligrams as humanly possible. Some days are going to be better than others, and don't beat yourself up about those days. But just being mindful of the salt you're putting in your body. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the difference between low sodium products, reduced sodium products, and full sodium products. So, fun fact, companies can put low sodium or reduced sodium on something when it has less sodium than the original. It doesn't mean it's low in sodium, it just means it's lower than the original. For example, tuna. This package of tuna that you can buy at the store for like $1 has 290 milligrams of sodium, which is 13% of your daily intake. Not terrible, but the reduced sodium is 50% less, so it's a better option. It has 150 milligrams of sodium, or 7%. These are good options. Another thing is with vegetables, you're gonna think, oh, I'm buying canned vegetables and doing something good. I'm eating vegetables, and yes, you are. I highly suggest canned, frozen veggies if you can't, have the fresh veggies, and if you don't use them up right away, it's good to store in your cabinet and your freezer for future use. So, but one thing I want people to be mindful of is the sodium. So in this can of corn, there's 300 milligrams of sodium, which is 13%, which, may not seem like a lot, but it adds up after a while. It's 13%. A good way to cut down on the sodium in canned vegetables is to rinse them before you cook them. When you rinse them, you rinse some of the salt away, and it decreases the sodium a little bit. And then this can of beans, see how it says low sodium on it? I don't know if you can read that. Boop. This can of beans says low sodium, and it says on here 65% less than regular black beans, which, is still 130 milligrams. So it's 6%, which is good, but just because it says low sodium does not mean it has zero sodium or next to zero sodium. So just being mindful of that. Being mindful of your portion sizes is a really good thing. Using, acidity to help you flavor things without adding salts. And then again, eat things with salt. If your doctor has prescribed you on a low sodium diet, it doesn't mean you can't have salt. It just means you have to have less salt than, the average person. And being mindful of the things that you're consuming, and if they do have sodium and how much sodium they do have in them, is a really important step in being mindful of your health and the things you're putting in your body. Okay, this video wasn't bad. This video wasn't that long. I feel pretty good about it. So, to go over again, 1 teaspoon of salt is 2,300 milligrams, which is the daily recommended intake of sodium in your life. So we want to consume this or less. Being mindful of the sodium that you're putting in your food, as well as the sodium that already comes in your food. Rinsing canned vegetables, paying attention to reduced sodium and low sodium options. Aim for things that are 10 or less percent of sodium, of your sodium intake. So this tuna that has 7% would be a good option. Everything has salt because it's a good preservative. Another, trick would be if you're going to add salt at the very end. So don't cook with the salt, and as you're serving, sprinkle a little bit of salt on top. You're still going to get the full salt flavor without adding an increased amount of sodium. And again, adding acidity to your dishes will help increase the flavors. Using herbs and spices as well, dried or fresh, is a good way to increase the flavor content of your dishes without adding salt. So I challenge everybody to keep track of how much salt they eat one day. You should be able to figure out the sodium content of everything you're eating. It can be sort of scary. A lot of people say, well, I don't eat a lot of salt, and that may be true, but that may be that you don't add a lot of salt to your dishes doesn't mean there's not a lot of salt in your dishes already. So yeah, challenge yourself to write down, record how much sodium you eat in one day, and then try to make choices to decrease that so you won't end up in the hospital and have your doctor tell you you have to go on a low sodium diet. Okay, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, just stay down below. Last words, remember, always check your serving sizes, to make sure that you know exactly what you're eating. Okay, have a great day, y'all. Happy weekend, happy Friday, happy everything.